Hey everybody, welcome to our show today. As you can see, we're at a different location today. We're at the Crooked Road General Store right out of Bristol. We're here every Monday night, and Jim's filming for Mountain Music Showcase every Monday night. We have great food here, always have a great band and great music here and good camaraderie among friends. So if you get a chance, come down and be at the Crooked Road General Store. Tonight we're going to do a little different thing here. I've started something that actually I've talked about it on the show before, doing a big painting on the building, but we haven't had the weather to get outside and do it on the face of the building. So what we've done, we've changed it and we're going to put it on canvases now. And as you can see, I've got a big white canvas behind me here. We're going to work just a little bit on it today. I probably won't talk as much as I usually do on the show, but I'm going to do a little sketching. And what this is now, this is a complete pencil drawing. And we're going to paint it after we get all the drawings on there, but I want to make sure that I get Jesus exactly right. And I've got a lot of suggestions on Jesus's hair. Was it short or was it long? Was it short or was it long? Well, you'll find out what we believe as we go along, okay? We're going to start right now. I won't talk too much, but I'm going to start on this little picture right here. This is another little person. There's actually, if you can see this, there's going to be 28 people on it altogether, plus Jesus. I may add another one or two, I'm not sure. But anyhow, let's start right here, and we'll just do a little sketching for you, okay? Now, in order to draw a child's face, you need to have it pretty oval or something like that. And the eyes, y'all know most of this stuff, don't you? We split it in about 3 or 4 equal parts and put the little eyes in there. Now what we'll do, we want to go a lot of detail tonight because we're sort of limited to time, but we'll just put a little bit of detail there. Now a lot of the little ladies in Jesus' time anyhow, had their heads covered. Most men did not back in those times. You see them sometimes that way, but most Jewish people did not. Now I've got a lot of help on the length of Jesus' hair. My good friend Robert Smith and Wilma Smith helped me do a little research on it. I also got a Pontius Pilate's description of Jesus. And it was a little bit different, but he was a mighty man. He was a big man, strong man. You know, he had to be to drive the people out of the temple. I mean, if he'd been a wimp, they wouldn't have went out, would they? Anyhow, as you can see here, now, that's about all the detail we're going to put in it right now. I'm going to come over to Jesus' hair. We've only got about, I don't know, 5 more minutes. I guess we've been doing this about 5 minutes now. Jesus did have a beard, according to most descriptions that we can do. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a little bit on the beard. Okay, now you see, that sort of gets an outline of it. And of course we'll put a lot more detail in it. Now most of the time on the show, when we're doing the show, we don't go into this kind of detail, but I thought this was a special thing. And everything on here is period. The shoes, that's the kind of shoes they had in Jesus' time. I've done a complete study on everything on here. The scroll, it's exactly like, and it's in Hebrew. Would you believe that? No, not really. It's sort of, I learned that a long time ago. It looks like lettering on there. It's not really, but it looks like it. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit on the hair, okay? Now Jesus' hair, according to most descriptions, and the Bible don't have a lot in it, but there's things when he went to trial and different times that they did have some descriptions of him. Anyhow, his hair was sort of straight. I'm just going to make it sort of that way until it got down closer to his neck. And it was sort of curly, they said. Now, short hair or long hair? You know, what is short hair? You know, my hair is short. Sort of. Okay. I'm going to let you be the judge if this is short or long. And when it gets down here, it gets curly. Now, there'll be a lot more detail in it when I get back in the studio. I'll put a lot more. If you notice, there's a lot of detail on a lot of the stuff in here. Okay. Robert, does that look short enough?
That looks great.
Okay. We'll probably bring it down over here a little bit also. And we'll make a little bit sticking out a little bit, you know. Might have been windy the day he was sitting on this stone. I even looked the stone up for the colors of the stone. And of course there's no color on it now, but there will be eventually, hopefully. And we'll bring it back again and show you again. And we appreciate everybody at the Crooked Road General Store. Marla, we love you. Appreciate you letting us share this with everybody. And hope you all enjoyed it. Got 3 minutes? Okay, we work a little more then. Now, Jesus wore a lot of different garments in his time. Some people say he was poor. He wasn't poor, but we won't argue that thing. But anyhow, what we're going to put here is a white garment here and a purple robe here. And that's her plan, unless it changes. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this. And I want to tell you, everything on the canvas is not taken from something else. It's all came out of, I didn't have any models or anything for it. I probably would have done better if I'd had some models for it. But all of this is just drawn right out of my head. This was the original and we changed it a lot. There's going to be about 28 or 29 people in it. And this little person here is holding something. I'm not sure what, but we'll figure that out later. Anyhow, it will come on down through here. And her feet would be about right here. Just an estimate. Okay, we got any more minutes, Jim? 2 minutes, all right. Let's go back to the hair a little bit. I want to put a little more detail in it. Most versions say that he had sort of auburn hair. One of them said it sort of looked golden. And they say his face, when they was describing him, he was about 30-some years old. So they said his face was beautiful. It didn't have any wrinkles in it at all. So we won't put any age wrinkles in it. We'll leave him probably this age here. It looks like about a 30-year-old man, 32 or something like that. Anyhow, I'm going to do a little more work right here. And then we're going to listen to some great music tonight. Okay, we're going to say goodbye to you now, and we appreciate it so much. Appreciate everybody at the Country Road General Store. Hope you've enjoyed our little demonstration. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week. Goodbye. God bless. Hello, everyone. Hey, we're back in the studio, as you probably can see here from the background. And I want to show you a few things about the painting that we started. First of all, let me just go way back. And I'll show you, this is not the original sketch. I couldn't really find the original sketch. I actually just done it on a piece of notebook paper with lines on it. I couldn't find it, but this is one of the first sketches after that. Then after I done that, I didn't like some of the things on it. I didn't like the way his head was turned. I came back This is almost the finished sketch. This is what I used to do the drawing that you see here. In other words, I've changed a lot of this because the panels changed a little bit. But these panels are about 44 inches by 50 inches tall. Now this is one of the major projects that we started this year. I'm going to lay these down over here out of the way. And I want to explain a couple of things to you and just show you. Now when I'm doing portraits, sometimes I'll draw, this is almost, if you can see, a completed drawing or a sketch or a black and white portrait. I don't always do that. Sometimes I'll do like this. This is a little bit of detail, but not a great lot, you know. He's got a little bit more in this little boy here. Now I want to explain a couple of things to you. This painting caused a great difficulty in getting the settings just right. In other words, first of all this area in here, I originally started to just make the whole background like this area or this area, you know, just make it so you couldn't hardly tell what it was. And then I got to thinking, well, I would like to have a little more depth in it. So what I really done then, I came by and thought, well, Lord, let's put a river in there. So if you notice, this is on perspective. River goes way back through the trees back in here. I'm not quite through with all this. I'm just showing you what I've done so far. And later on, we'll put a little more detail in different things here. Now, one other thing I want to explain to you is the road. This is one of the most difficult things because if you're looking at this, if you're live standing in front of this, you're probably standing about where the camera's at. And if you're standing there, this road actually goes away from you to your left side. Now I'm going to change sides here. It actually goes the other way away from you on your right side. So those things have to come together, and when I put it together, it'll all look like you're standing where the camera's at. This road is passing by Jesus, and it's passing that way up until, you can't see it now. I've got two more panels, by the way. And on them, a lot more people, and I actually put a little city in the background over there, but I'll show you that later on. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the road. This is a Roman type road. These stones, usually they were hand cut, hand carved, and placed in a road. They made their roads about 3 foot deep. They put small rocks on the bottom, larger rocks on top of that. Then they put concrete on top of that, and smaller rocks, and then they put the dirt down and put stones on top of it. And even today, 2,000 years later, some of those roads most of them are still in existence. Some of them are dilapidated a little bit because they're not used that much, except tourists going there and walking over them, maybe riding a bicycle over them. But you actually could drive a cart over them. And the way they made them sort of round, sort of like this. And on each side then, they put a little ditch. And what that did, when it rained, it carried, and they were all at an angle, it carried the water away. So they put large upright stones on the side of it to sort of catch the water and just run it off any way they wanted to go that way. Now, one other thing I want to explain to you, these people that we put on here, we changed them quite a bit also. And we've got about total, counting the little baby, about 32 people to do here with their feet and their hands. And if you notice, what we tried to do is make it a little animated. In other words, I wanted everybody to be human and doing something, you know. So almost everyone on here is doing something. Even the little kids, you can't see too much of them. I haven't gotten them too far along yet. But they're playing the game. And the little game that they're I don't know how it was played, but this is one of the games that I found that was over 2,000 years old, these little things. But we'll draw them in a little bit later. Now, what I've tried to do here is put different facial expressions and as Jim said, most all of them look like they're smiling. I tried to make that a criteria. I tried to make that something that everybody would notice, that they're all happy. And the reason they're happy, let's sneak back to the other side. The reason they're happy, Jesus is blessing them. Now, this painting was derived from, let me tell you what we do. We started years ago packing Christmas stockings for needy children. We packed over 850 some last year. This year, God's going to bless it more. We're going to pack probably over 1,000, hopefully, this year. We don't want no child to be without a Christmas gift. And that'll show Jesus, I think, you know. Anyhow, these panels will be hanging in our little church. We have a little church up on the front of the property. That's where we pack the Christmas stockings. And these panels will hang in there when they're finished. And probably I'll have to put some of them together in order to make them line up. And if you notice, maybe come right here as a point. Now, there's a groove there, but I've already clamped that together. And when I pull it together, it'll almost look like the top here. You'll see a little line, but not much of a line there. Now, one other thing I've done, I've changed Jesus' hand. I had it laying on his lap in the original sketch, but I wanted him to be animated. I wanted him to be talking. So in Matthew 19:14, Jesus said to the disciples, "Suffer little children, forbid them not to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven." And being that we do special things for children, I thought this would be an ideal painting to hang in the building up there and let everybody, I hope they enjoy it. And if you want to come by and look at it, just come by and holler at us and we'll see that you get to look at it. And one other thing I will mention is if you have some toys or anything that you would like to give to us, any time of the year, it don't matter. We'll store them and give them to the kids. We're going to do a little sketching for you, so just in a minute we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Come over to the board, and as you can see, this is a monster size for this little board, but we're making do here. I want to do a little sketching for you. Some of it I want to show you. I told you about the perspective, how it changes and everything. But anyhow, let me do a little bit of sketching on the road here, and we may go over and do a little sketching somewhere else. But the road, they cut the stones real precise back in the day. And now, I've got to keep it sort of in line with these stones. If you see what I mean here, they're almost level. And they get a little bit smaller up here because it's farther away from you. Anyhow, now I hope you can see what we're doing there. And I'm just right now just laying in. Now, some of the stones they used on the roads was not quite this precise. And I'm just sketching them in now. I'll come back and redraw them and also paint over them. Let me do another row for you at least here. Now, as they come along the edge, up here, I don't want to get in front of you, so I'll do it from this angle. There's a ditch there, so this would be sort of rounded off like that. And these lines I'm putting on here are pretty precise, but they're not. When it comes to the bottom, then it rolls over here like this. And as you can see, now what I'll probably do, I'll go back and I'll change a little bit. Like for here, for instance, I'll maybe put 2 stones there. 1 stone maybe there, 1 stone there, maybe 2 here too. You can do this any way you want to, or you can come in with a smaller stone, you know. But just sort of break up the way the things are laying in there. Here I'm going to put, I don't want a stone there. I don't want it to meet that thing, but it can, see. It doesn't matter. This angle's a little bit off, so I'm going to pull it back up a little bit, you see. I'll put 2 stones there, and I'm going to round that off if you can see what I'm doing there. Now, all of these stones, I'm going to draw I'm going to put a little shading in here. I can do this with a brush too. It's not necessary, but I just want to show you how sort of this will look. And this will be a different color here too. This will be more of a grayish color here. So I'll just sketch a little of that and show you. They give it a little depth. And the grass will probably come up over it in different spots, but we'll have to paint that in there later. Now we've got to get these lines lined back up the way they're supposed to be, you see, because the way I'm standing, this is definitely wrong. It goes up there like that. You see, I got to keep it sort of in line with this. Let's do another row here. Now, I'm going to put 2 there. I'm going to put 2 there. Leave 1 there. Now, what I usually do is go back in and sort of round the corners just a little bit. To make them look a little more authentic, you know. And if there's 1 missing, you can put 1 in there like this, you see. I'm going to round that off a little bit. And I'm going to shadow a little bit more there. Now this is painted, so this will be too eventually. But right now I'm just doing this to show you sort of how it will look. And it gets a little lighter in the middle there. Okay, now I think what I'll do now, I want to do a little more sketching for you. So let's go over okay, that'll give you an idea of basically what we're doing is making a little ditch on each side. This will be highlighted here and a little darker right in this area. But we'll use our oil paint like this to make those colors in there. And you can take your hand, I love to get my hands in this stuff, and rub it out like that. As you can see now, we've almost got a finished section of road there. That probably would have taken the Romans a few days to do that, and we done it just in a few minutes, didn't we? It's still pretty time consuming considering all the work that goes into it. And like I told you earlier on, this particular panel right here, I think it's got about 18, counting the little babies, 18 people on it. But anyhow, I want to walk over this way just a little bit. I'm going to do just a little bit of this little lady's hair.
I'm thinking I'll make it black. So what I'll do, I'll just, being as I'm sketching, I don't have to do this with a pen. I actually can do this with a brush. But I just want to show you what you can do. And I'll just do a little bit. I may not do every bit of her hair, because it needs other colors in it. And then I'll come to this side. I hope my hand's not in your way there, but I was trying to get that shape of her forehead there. Let me grab one that's got a little sharper point on it. Now, as you do this, as you put them on there, sometimes you have some hairs that are sort of out of place, which we probably will do, like maybe bring one down here, you see. Not many, but maybe just a couple or three, say. And then on down here, we're going to bring the hair on down just a little bit more, right beside of the eye here. You see, and that sort of rounds her face out a little bit and helps it. Now I've almost got a finished head of hair there, you see. See how simple that is? Okay, we've got half of a minute. I'm just going to do a little outline here. A little quick outline. Anyhow, you get an idea of how that'll work. You know what, we've enjoyed this so much, and I hope you're enjoying this painting. Now, next week when we come back, we're going to do some actual physical painting. Maybe you might be interested in maybe some faces that we paint. So we'll start there next week. Maybe do some eyes and a face and maybe some hair. Anyhow, we enjoyed being with you this week. Come back next week and be with us. Goodbye. God bless. Hello everyone, welcome to our show today. So glad you joined us today. We're working on a very special project here. This painting is made up of 4 panels, and when we finish it, it'll be about 14 feet and 8 inches long. And it's about 50 inches tall, which is a little over 4 foot. It's really a little too big for our studio, but we're going to make do anyhow. And we appreciate Mr. Jim Edwards coming down and filming us today. And I thought you might be interested to see us do maybe some face work on some of the little characters. So first of all, normally what I usually do is paint the eyes. Now, contrary to what you might believe, when you paint an eye, it's not white. So let's mix up a little eye color. I'm going to come right out from that white right there. I've got 2 little piles of white here. Now, one color that I like to use